Creating demand without any latent need. This is a really difficult problem to solve. What can you do when you have created a far superior new product or service and the target customers see no need for it at all? We will draw from the unique experiences of N. Balasubramanian, who is currently the CEO of Shrestha Natural Bioproducts. He did 4 challenging product launches where there was no latent demand for the new product. The first case is of Safal Fruits and Vegetables way back in 1989. The core challenge was to show that buying fruits and vegetables from a supermarket was better than buying it even more fresher from the roadside vendors. Safal bought directly from wholesale markets and did a quality check. They also made weight bundles that made it convenient and cheaper for buyers. They gave price comparisons to convince buyers to buy from them instead of roadside vendors. They also showed how their weighing is more accurate than the roadside vendors. Case 2. This is about Real Good Chicken, which was the next company that he joined. Here, the core challenge was to show that chilled chicken sold by them within a day of processing was better in taste than the freshly bought chicken from the local market. Real Good actually processed birds at the specific age when they were both bulky and tasty. The chilling process and the cold chain preserved the taste better. Real Good initiated trials by giving 2 free eggs with their chicken. Those who tried that for the first time became repeat buyers. Case 3. This is Tropicana juice in 1999. The core challenge was to show that packaged real juice is better than fresh juice bought from roadside vendors or juice drinks that are available and far cheaper. Tropicana gave trials of their real juice drinks to morning joggers to create a healthy habit. They also showed that roadside vendors were unhygienic. Tropicana also had to educate retailers to keep their juice only in the cold product shelves, unlike the juice drinks which are kept in the open. Case 4. Pedigree pet food. This was the most challenging one. The core challenge here was to show to pet owners that pet food is far more healthier for the dog's digestive system than table leftovers or tasty to human food. Pedigree first educated the vets on the benefits of pet food so that then informed their owners. Pedigree also sold pet food samples through the vets as food stores did not accept to sell their pet food. Pedigree advertised only when the word of mouth about their product was very high. How do you create demand without latent needs? So, this is what Mr. Balasubramanian has summarized based on all his experiences. First, do not trust market research. With no latent need, market research is likely to be way off the mark and very unreliable. Directional accuracy or a grudging acceptance of the product is okay as you develop better market understanding. Third, de-risking of possible failure. Initially, it is better to limit the advertising budget and keep the advertising very low key. Fourth, it is important to educate the channel partners and all retail executives on the value of the new product. Fifth, you should use your own retail channel or create unique channels if the existing channels are averse to the new product. Sixth, do not antagonize any potential customers by telling them that what they are doing is wrong. Seventh, try unique promotions, customer trials, giving samples to build interest and word of mouth about the new product. Eighth, experiment and demonstrate the product and directly address any wrong customer perceptions. Ninth, demonstrate the value of the new product with cost comparisons in customer oriented ways. 10th, respond with agility to any complaints. Persevere with customer trials over a much longer time. 11th, communicate internally on the new product plan and inform how negative results will be viewed. Finally, 12th, Wait for the tipping point, the point where the market will take off, and only then advertise the product. If you advertise too prematurely, the market may not understand the new product and reject it. How do you choose between new product options? The first is to leverage existing resources and create new value for existing users. That is, you have low cost and low risk in this option, and that's typically the best option. Second, add new resources and create new value for existing user base. Here the cost may go up, but the risk is still low and is a good second option. Third, leverage existing resources and create new value for new users. Here the cost is lower, but the risk is higher, but still it's a good third option. Lastly, add new resources and create new value for new target users. Here both the cost and the risk are high, and therefore this should typically be the last option. You should avoid conflict with existing good products and avoid option 4 before attempting earlier ones. In this module, we look at intellectual property issues in product development. There are 5 types of intellectual properties that can exist. The first is what is known as a utility patent, or what is commonly known as a patent. It is a temporary monopoly granted by the government on a useful, novel, non-obvious idea. It need not be viable. Significant new software can also be utility patented. The second is a design patent or a design registration, as it is called in India. It is for a design which is the result of a higher skill and effort. The design need not be novel or non-obvious. The third is a copyright. This is an exclusive right granted on the creation of a tangible expression, say a poem. It need not be registered to exist as a right. Fourth, a trademark is an exclusive right granted by the government to identify by name or symbol. Once granted, a trademark cannot be revoked forever. Fifth is a trade secret. This can exist only if it can be kept as a secret, like for example the Coke formula. There is no right given by the government for a trade secret. What are the rights of a patent holder? A patent holder can exclude others from using, making, selling or importing any infringing product. This is an offensive right. It is a right to sue the infringer if you have the money to do so. A patent holder can also defend any part of disclosed prior art from being patented later by somebody else. Companies can barter the patents rather than sue each other, so having more patents can help in the barter process. What should you do if you invent? A raw idea or just a product concept is rarely valuable by itself, as it is unproven and unsaleable. You must file a local provisional patent on the idea. The patent alone may not have commercial value. You need to do all the difficult trade-offs and test them to ensure that the patented product is the best that can be done. Then you can build and test the product to ensure that the idea is implementable. Patents can also be sold or licensed to others. How do you deal with design piracy? Product enhancement is one way of dealing with design piracy. You can convert products through locally relevant redesigns into significantly higher value products which are addressed to upper class or niche customers who are more likely to buy the original branded good over the pirated ones over time. The second way of dealing with design piracy is through service enhancements. You can leverage on skilled services to enhance products through bespoke flourishes and enhancements that appeal to upper class or niche customers with a better lock-in through good product service combinations offered over time. How do you deal with digital piracy? First is, of course, legislation against piracy exists but is not very effectively enforced. So, encrypting digital data can prevent casual piracy. Artists may also allow piracy to happen so as to get paid concerts. For example, piracy from Microsoft in China created a market for Microsoft at a later date. The other way is to offer low cost ways to use digital products. For example, Apple sells songs per unit for just 99 cents. Moser Bayer, an Indian company, sold movie DVDs with 3 movies for just 50 cents, making piracy completely unviable. In this module, we look at new product business plans and strategy consulting for new products. How do you make an effective new product business plan? Firstly, it should have a clear and fact-based executive summary. Second, it should present and justify the new business model that is being proposed. Third, it should show how you will reach buyers and convert them to buy your product. Fourth, it identifies all those who will implement the plan. Fifth, it covers all the risks and shows how those risks are being covered. Sixth, it shows how the product fits with the firm's business goals. Seventh, it shows a few and only the most critical numbers. Eighth, it shows homework, answers the most obvious questions. And ninth, it builds credibility of the product and the team. What are the typical mistakes that companies make in new product development business plans? We'll first look at customer related mistakes. These mistakes include lack of in-depth understanding of customers, choosing a convenient market rather than the best market, going for me too products rather than value creation, going for a larger segment when a niche segment is better for that particular product, not looking at quality from a customer's point of view, not giving sufficient pricing options to buyers so that you can address a wider range of buyers, underpricing rather than value-based pricing, and not doing what really gets you your customers. The next set of mistakes are related to cost. These include high unjustified startup capital requirements, buying facilities where borrowing or renting is possible, using more office space than strictly required for the project, using resources wastefully like the larger firms do, paying high salaries rather than a low salary plus bonus combination, using paid advertisements over free press publicity, making fixed costs too high and the variable costs too low, and not doing trials or checking on cost volume profit analysis. Why are strategy consultants required in this domain? Strategy consultants are now increasingly called in for strategic new product ideas and evaluations. Strategy and business consultants are required when the firm has an undiagnosed performance problem that is unable to internally decipher. A client firm may have a known strategy problem and believes that it knows where the problem is, but is not able to address it, or the client firm may need to make a difficult strategic choice and cannot figure out how to do it. So, what do clients rely on the consultant for? First is the domain expertise of the consultant firm in the broad area of the identified strategy problem. Second, their ability to synthesize all the relevant data across a wide range of known information sources. Third, their ability to create new and credible options to respond to the strategic problem faced by them. Fourth, their ability to structure the strategic choices and to identify and demonstrate the best option. And fifth, the ability to implement the option and show early results. Strategy consultants' work that is involved at the proposal stage include identifying all the possible issues that underlie the observed problem that is stated by the company, Second, interacting with clients to build a hypothesis and do a quick diagnosis to redefine the problem. And third, some pre-consulting work to redefine the scope of the work and then work out the consulting bid. Many consulting firms may avoid some of the above work at the proposal stage, but that may lead to underbidding and thus losses. What happens after the consultant signs off on the contract? They start by researching to generate credible choices and options. Second, they quantitatively model the benefits and trade-offs involved. Third, they perform scenario analysis or sensitivity analysis on each of the options that they have identified. Then they recommend solutions and show the implementation path. Consulting firms are increasingly required and also bill clients for what is called a quick win. It's a limited scope demonstration that the choice that they made was a good one. It can also be in the new product context, a prototype that is tested with customers. Designing products for emerging markets. In this module, we look at how do you design products for emerging markets. Firstly, we have to look at whether the products are appropriate or not. So what are appropriate products? Appropriate products are those which meet customer needs better than competition. They have better quality as defined by the users or customers, has unique benefits and features for its users. They are products which solve real problems of users with the most competitive alternate products or services, reduces the total in-use costs over the product's lifetime, has highly visible benefits for the users or customers, and finally, if it is novel, innovative and first of its kind, then it's a bonus. But the earlier points which have been made are probably more important than the last one of being novel or first of its kind. Let's look at a product which actually failed in the emerging market context. This is a picture of the personal internet communicator which was launched by IIMD way back in 2004 at a price of US dollars 250, and it was meant specifically for the emerging markets. This product failed eventually and was divested by IIMD in 2006. Why did this product fail? The PIC had a very robust design and was low priced at that time, yet it failed to have any market in the targeted developing countries. The PIC could not effectively compete with low cost internet access in internet cafes that were easily accessible by users at that time. PIC also meant recurring cost of highly priced and slow speed internet subscriptions. More importantly, the PIC could not compete with a working 3-year-old second-hand PC that cost less than $200 locally and was easily serviced by local computer service providers. So in effect, the PIC increased the technology risk for its potential users who opted out of it. The PIC failed but won the 2006 Industrial Design Excellence Award of Business Week. It was also recognized by the Industrial Design Society of America. What are the best sellers in emerging markets? Here you can see two pictures of Nokia products which have been very huge bestsellers in the international markets, plus they were extremely successful in the developing country markets. The first is the Nokia 3310 or 3315 on the left hand side, which sold eventually 136 million and it was retired by Nokia in 2005. On the right hand side, you have the Nokia 1100, which sold more than 250 million and has since been retired. Why were these two products so successful? Let's start with the Nokia 3310 or the 3315. The most obvious reasons why it was successful are it was priced at the lowest possible level at that time, so it was very affordable in that context. It looked very robust in construction. It had the longest battery life available at that time. It was also very reliable over a fairly long usage period. It had a good and wide service support. It had a good resale or exchange value. So, overall it provided good value or superior value to its users. But there are not so obvious reasons why the 3310 or 3315 succeeded. It had no non-essential non-call features. It was most suitable for first time users. It had a very simple intuitive user interface. It had also the largest font size available in any product at that time. It was therefore the natural choice for senior citizens and semi-illiterates who found that it was closer to a public phone. So therefore, the Nokia 3315 reduced risks for all its users and especially for first time users. Let's look at the development of the Nokia 1100, which actually followed the 3315. A small design team from Nokia, Finland, led by NID design graduate Raman Saxena, spent about 3 weeks touring the whole of India, especially rural and urban India. They met users of Nokia 3315 in villages, towns, and cities to see and photograph how they live and how they maintain their phone. They took suggestions from the users on how their phone could be made better. Eventually, this field study led to some important additions in the Nokia 1100. First, the idea of a torchlight on the Nokia 1100 came from a suggestion. The idea of a removable, cleanable surface on the Nokia 1100 instead of buttons to prevent dust accumulation around the buttons was an idea that came from this research. The redesign of a better grip line on the side of the phone to avoid slippage was also a new thing which was introduced, and there was a clear red on off button on the face of the phone, which was another addition. Did Nokia lose out in dropping the 3315? Actually, the 1100 was far smaller than the 3315 and the user interface was a bit more complex. But overall, the 1100 was actually cheaper to manufacture from Nokia's point of view. The 1100 was easier to carry but more difficult for older people to read and press numbers. The 1100 font size was smaller, more difficult for visually challenged and older people to use. The 1100 was robust but looked less robust than the 3315. The keypad sort of seemed like something that will wear out easily. Such design trade-offs are sometimes required, and these design trade-offs were made by Nokia for the 1100. So the 1100 was a success, yet there were customers who still looked for the unsold Nokia 3315. Low-end phones today are too complicated for first-time users, especially the old and the semi-literate. These users are better off if you remove any of the non-essential features to improve familiarity with the product. First-time users is a good business opportunity but requires design that builds on the familiar and thus effectively reduces risks for their users. How do you build a base of pyramid market? You need to start by building very functional but minimal feature products, avoiding all distracting and detracting extra features. Building intuitive products that do not require a lot of training at the point of sale by the dealer is effective. Product utility should be easily demonstrated. The product should be robust enough to withstand harsh conditions and both abuse and misuse by users. The product should be easy to try at low user risk, and the products can also be released as a modular interlinked series of products which can be bought by customers over a period of time. Products could be innovatively financed to better match user needs and their cash flows. Companies must also ensure support over the entire estimated life of the product. That means a longer warranty. Companies must also support the move from those who depended on the previous product. Companies must also have a tight control on the price performance equation to convey good value. Customers are actually price sensitive, but they are more value sensitive than price sensitive. How do you look at new product options or new business options in emerging markets? The first option is to go for emerging market users with high intent to buy but many users cannot find the product or cannot afford it due to the high unit prices. Next, to go for emerging market users with high intent to buy, but many users cannot afford it due to the higher prices and higher or more features. Next, you can go for markets with high demand, but you can easily move users to products that are more appropriately designed for them. The fourth is to go for markets with latent demand, but more potential users do not consider it as it is high priced and appears inappropriate to them. The reverse of this is number 5. Next, go for markets with latent demand, but many potential users do not consider it as it is too cheap and so appears inappropriate to them. Lastly, go for markets with high demand, but you have to aggressively reach out to get customers to consider a better product than what they are currently using. Design thinking for new products. In this module, we look at what is the scope for design thinking in the context of developing new products. Why design thinking? School education typically focuses on routine abilities such as simple calculations, reading familiar texts, reciting poetry tested with examinations. However, work life requires you to ask good questions, interpret unfamiliar texts, create new texts, build on new arguments, and do complex analysis and develop original solutions and make judgment calls. Reasoning on your own and building on the reasoning of others along with rapid testing of iterations is key to designing unique solutions. Design thinking actually combines both the left and right brains. The left brain is for linear, logical, sequential, and analytical thinking. The right brain is for design, synthesis, context, pattern, and artistic thinking. Dan Pink says that right brain ability is more valued over the left brain ability as it is less common and less developed. What are these right brain abilities? First is design ability, the ability to craft novel, unique solutions. The second is a storytelling ability, the ability to weave context and emotion into a narration. Third is symphony ability, the ability to put together big canvas strategic thinking. Empathetic ability is the ability to see things from another person's point of view. Playfulness ability is the ability to use whatever is available and construct something new. And giving meaning is the way by which you can create significance, purpose for whatever you are trying to do. What is design? Design is the creative organizing of human, physical, technical, and knowledge elements towards the creation of an object or system that meets functional, aesthetic, ergonomic, and economic goals under constraints of technical feasibility and resources, but built in line with a vision and a value system. How do engineers do design? This is a caricature of design efforts by engineers. It may not be true for all. A typical engineer approach for design is to gather data on the use context and users, then designing a device or a system that meets all the user stated clear requirements, and then testing the device with the users in the context in which they operate. If there are contextual failures and user feedback on the finished device, it is used to tinker with it and make some changes. However, if the changes cannot be made and it cannot be fixed, then it is shelved as a failure. It works far better when users are less complex, but when users are more complex, then this system may not work. How do designers think? Designers think by implementation. Design thinking is a method that avoids the engineering-led pathway, which has a typically higher failure rate with users. Design thinking imbibes the view that designers just do not know enough to design well for their users. Design thinking mindset is a user-based, solution-focused mindset rather than a problem-solving focused mindset. Design thinking draws equally upon logical reasoning and user context based imagination and intuitions. What is the design thinking cycle? Design thinking means never saying that the design was right but the implementation had failed. Design thinking starts with a clear and deep understanding of what users are trying to do and then creating easier and more enjoyable ways to help them achieve their goal. Design thinking builds a broad range of perspectives to get a full appreciation of the user challenges to then build a range of potential solutions for them. Design thinking involves rapid experimentation and quick cycles of user led feedback on the full range of potential solutions with target users and other key stakeholders to refine on the novel solutions. Design thinking requires flexibility and openness to all possible ideas and suggestions from all users and stakeholders to improve on the prototype solutions that they are showing for comments. Design thinking driven experimentation and multiple prototype cycles eventually results in effective new design solutions that can potentially never be thought up initially or independently either by the users or by the designers. Design thinking is imbibed in design schools by the clear directive that goes right in the beginning of their program, which roughly translates into thou shall not make any design sketches till thou meets the real users. This is a framework for design thinking called the 4D Design Thinking Framework. It was designed by the Design Council of UK. It starts with, on the left hand side, the what and why of the design effort. You start with a question, vision or statement of intent. In the first stage, you look at how do you discover what is required. So you look at mapping all those who are involved, then understanding people's daily experiences and understanding all the causal influences which impact that process. The stage 2 is to define what are the major themes which are required to be designed. The first phase, that is the left hand side, ends with a clear opportunity or brief to base new ideas. On the right hand side is the how part of it. It starts with the clear opportunity brief to base ideas, and stage 3 is where you develop. Rapid testing of new ideas and concepts is the first phase of that, seeking feedback on the ideas from users and refining the business model to what works in the field. The fourth stage is deliver, where you measure the impact of the new concept on actual users. At the end of this, you end with a functioning and proven new concept that actually works with real users. What is the nature of design thinking? In summary, design thinking is more driven to reach an acceptable solution that satisfies the user requirements effectively and no more. Design thinking solutions are developed very interactively with all key users, and through an iterative process, the team reaches closure. Design thinking solutions meet complex goals by rapid and many user feedback loops rather than by adding complex technical resources. We go further to look at the economics of soft innovation, which has been written by Stoneman. Soft innovation is the creation of variants that affect aesthetic or intellectual appeal of the product and not just the functional performance. Soft innovation includes new book titles, new packaging, marketing innovations, new recorded music, new food creations, and new delivery methods. Also embodied in soft innovation is the smell, touch, color, and intangibles of the product. High product variety with customer preferred distinctiveness through soft innovation can ensure higher premiums and higher profits. Price variations are also a form of soft innovation. Prominent examples are the mobile tariff deals and combo offers. Soft innovations can be protected by design registrations rather than by patents. The economic logic of commodities does not directly apply to soft innovations. Soft innovation is also related to hypercompetition. Hypercompetition is the market condition where new products are launched by all the players in the industry at such high frequency that it gives no possible scope for the industry players on average to be profitable. Hypercompetition is problematic for players as launching new products is costly and risky, but not launching products is even more risky as the company loses market share to others. Hypercompetition may be episodic, short period, or transformational, long run. Episodic hypercompetition may lead to temporary gains based on soft innovation fads, such as fancy packaging, that may die out very soon. Transformational hypercompetition is based on major shifts in customer tastes or in new technologies and is likely to be permanent. Transformational hypercompetition leads to a post hypercompetition era with a new basis of competition with new resource configurations. If there are few players, hypercompetition may die out. If there are more players, hypercompetition may persist for a long period. Hypercompetition will typically reduce overall industry level profitability as all new products on average are unprofitable at launch. Therefore, there is need to re-examine the basis of competition. What is the patenting process? Getting a patent can be very expensive. You need to decide on whether you should patent or not and also plan the process. Patent filing should be done within 1 year of first disclosure through a provisional patent. It is better to delay the patent filing till there is adequate refining of the new product idea. If you are going for multi-country patenting, then it is best to use a known patent attorney. Getting a provisional patent is easier and the application process is also far cheaper. So, in some companies, they just file a provisional patent and never bother to file the final patent. Patent applications cover several aspects. First is the defined scope of the invention, any prior patents which exist, the study of prior inventions, outlining all the new claims, describing the invention, defending it well, refining all the claims made, and then pursuing it on challenge. Patenting and strategy. Patents are often seen as protections from imitation, but patents may not be effective imitation barriers. Patents may also not confer any market monopoly to the patent holder. Patenting strategy are essentially ways by which you can use patents to dominate a market. Patent strategy domains are establishing rights, giving licenses, and enforcement on infringers. Patent fences are a wall of all related patents that are created by a company to prevent easy imitations. Patent litigation is like defending property rights. It goes through the same process as defending any other property rights. Patenting strategies. One is preventing imitation of proprietary know-how, defending patents against imitation by litigation, and third, leveraging patents to bargain with competitors and generate rents by licensing them to others. Companies can also buy out the firm that holds a number of important patents which are related to its own growth. So this module talks about what is product centric versus customer centric. Picture that you see here is of a refrigerator where there is customer centric communication and there is product centric communication. What is the difference? When you are talking about the customer centric view, you are basically telling the customer how they will experience the product or what they should do when they experience the product or how the experience of the product will be felt by them. So it's a much more focuses on the user's experience of that product. Whereas when you talk about product centric communication, you are talking about the features of the product. You are saying it has extra large space, it has a place where you can get some ice and so on. So all these are talking about what is there in the product. Now, which is better is not all that straightforward. For example, if it's a completely new product, then customer centric communication is more suitable, because people are trying to figure out what the product is all about, and they are trying to make sense of the product. And if you tell them how you will interact with the product, how you will use the product, they will make it will be more easier for them to understand. But if it's a product that you know very well, for example, a refrigerator is a product that literally everybody knows about, then the customer centric communication may seem like baby talk, in the sense that it's not really telling you something very substantive. You already know about the product, you know what you should expect from the product, and this type of communication seems to be underplaying that, or not talking about the product features. So you would be more interested in a product centric communication, because that makes more sense from your point of view. Okay. But this is different from a product centric versus customer centric company. And it's important to understand why some companies are product centric and why some companies are customer centric. Now, what is a product centric company looking at? They are looking for more customers to buy their product. So they are looking at the largest segment where they can sell their product, and they are looking for the best possible product that they can make for the largest number of customers who are willing to buy that product. The customer centric on the company, on the other hand, looks for customer satisfaction. Here the idea is, can I find a niche customer who is not satisfied with the product which is available in the market, and can I come up with a better product for them? So it's a very different approach. You are looking at niches which are missed by the big players in the market, and you're coming up with a better product for them. So how does it translate? Product centric company will create products that have the highest functional value. They will put in the best possible features or configuration. Then they will find users who most value the product that they have created, the best possible product they have created. They will always add or update features to the best possible that they can come up with. And they don't necessarily go by what people say they need, they go by the customer experience. So they might add something even if customers don't ask for it specifically. They may add a feature because they realize that if I add this feature, the customer's experience will be better. So they value customer experience over their stated needs. On the other hand, the customer centric company is trying to identify unserved needs of niche customer groups, and then they create product features that suit those niche requirements. Then they match the product to the key customers' willingness to pay. So, for example, if customers are not willing to pay for a feature, they will delete it, right? So that's the approach that they are taking, and they use customer feedback very extensively to add or update on features, or even for deleting features. So if most customers say they don't like a particular feature, they will delete it. Most customers say they want it, they will add it. So it's a very customer focused way of improving and developing on the product, because they are trying to suit the requirements of a niche customer, and it is a very profitable idea to serve those niche customers, because probably they will be willing to pay more, or you are the only one providing the niche product that they need, and therefore it's a very valued service. On the other hand, the product centric company is ignoring the niche customer, not fully, but not seeing them as the primary customer. They are trying to create a product which is meant for the entire population, and the best possible product is what they are focusing on.